Right, Jake has pressed a few buttons, so it's time for us to get going on Wednesday, the 19th of November 2025. And it was a white morning. Lots of snow here. I think you had it down in St Albans too, didn't you, Jake?
We did indeed. It's the annual appointment of a new manager, Snowfall. So, hello, everyone.
Is that how we always celebrate, Lee? We send out a load of snow, or is it
We
smoke
send out something,
normally?
mate. It's not always snow.
Oh,
It's
that's
cold
true.
down here, Dave. But I tell you what, it's hot. Alex Wall. God, we saw it coming. We saw it coming, boys.
Yes. Right, we'll get onto that in a while. We're going to start with the appointment of a new manager, Gary McCann. We didn't have one last time we did the pod, so this is all exciting news. Um, an interesting appointment, a person who is experienced at this level and the level above. So that is good news. As good as Ian Culverhouse had been in his career, he hadn't really managed at this level. So we've got somebody who knows this area a lot better, which should stand him in good stead and stand us in good stead before we get stuck into minutiae. Let's get your thoughts on it. Start with you, Lee.
Yeah, I think it's a very sound appointment. Of all the names that were being bandied around, it was, there were pros and cons for each of them. I think, as you say there, Tabs, the fact that he knows this level, he knows the area, used to working with big personalities, big egos, good players as well. So doesn't mind spending a few quid, which hopefully he'll have to sort of do here at City. So let's see. I mean, the view on the terraces is on the whole favourable. And he's definitely sort of going about things the right way, isn't he? You know, he's going up to the fans after games, joining in with a chance. We've seen that on our social media feed. Early indications have been very early indications point to a little bit of success, hopefully, Dave.
Lee said almost everybody's happy with it. Are you not happy with it then, Jake?
I
Oh,
am. I am. I am. I
Ah,
think my only disappointment was it took, what, 2.5 weeks. And I thought it was quite interesting in his sort of first interview with the club, how he talked about how it seemed to very much happen after the Brentwood game, which obviously after that game, there was a lot of upset amongst supporters and a lot of sing-songs that night about certain things from certain supporters. So obviously that's had an impact, doesn't it? And that sort of rushed things along. But on face of it, I think that's a really good appointment. It's sensible. He knows the level. He's not, fancy Dan, and it's not got the excitement of Paul Bastock coming back from this time last year. But it just looks like a decent appointment. And actually, what a few Saints fans have already said over the last couple of days is his post-match interviews already, and that interview that he did joining the club. But he looks like he wants to be here. He looks excited for the challenge, and he looks grateful to have this opportunity. So that's really good to see. And like Lee said, that positivity after the win on Saturday, it wasn't much. It might not be the hardest game to win, but
we'll
it's a
take it
good
though,
start.
mate.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a good start. And if you can start positively with the supporters base, that does a lot for you longer term.
Lee mentioned about spending money. Of course, his last position as manager was with Billericay Town from April 23 to September this year. Yes, very much so. When Harry Wheeler was there, he spent big and had success first time, not so much second time. But Gary, he failed in Billericay's eyes in as much as he didn't get them promoted. But what a way to fail. Finished second in the table, joint on points at the top with Horsham. Horsham had a one goal better goal difference. So had Billericay let him one goal fewer last season, they'd have had equal goal difference and would have gone up on goals scored. That's how close he was to achieving the aim there. And then this season, when they had, was it 8 points from 6 games, which is more than we've had in any of the past 3 seasons, that was good enough reason to kick him out the door, shall we say. But in previous season at Billericay, he finished sixth, so he was growing. And it's got to be said, any other club, he'd have done that is a good job.
How do
Not
you
so much.
feel about the whole thing, Dave?
It's a good, solid appointment.
Yeah.
Yes, I think it's a good appointment. Funny enough, another one last night who may have possibly been in the frame, Mel Gwinnett. But anyway, a Cheshunt manager. But looking at Gary before that, Hampton and Richmond, 5 years there? COVID interrupted a couple of seasons. Didn't have a budget there. Hampton, not a club but known for splashing it around. But he was did a reasonable job. Not so good in his last one, finished 19th. So it was a so-so job. But most of his career as a manager, 582 league games as manager of Hendon. An astonishing figure. Not a single one of those were against us because our paths didn't cross during that time. Twice took them to the first round of the FA Cup. Twice took Hampton and Richmond to the first round of the FA Cup as well. And his FA Cup connection to us, he beat when he was manager of Billericay Town. Of course, he put us out. Wasn't Nobby our manager at the time? I think. So he's got a very good, solid record. His best seasons with Hendon, finishing second, third, and a couple of sevenths. Which, given their tight resources there, is no mean feat because, his time there has been rewarded, hasn't it, with that stand behind the goal, the Gary McCann stand. So, given all of that background, it really does look like a sort of appointment we should all be pleased with.
I think so. And I think the one thing you touched upon there is just the way he builds success. You know, the stability within a club, regardless of whether you've got a bunch of high-profile, highly paid players, or whether he's assembled a team unit that is willing to work for him and work for the team. So, yeah, I mean, I think it can work both ways here. And I think he's got that in his arsenal that he can really just go into a team and unify that squad, get them playing his way. How quickly he can do that here is another question. But I think he's going to have time. He's going to have, and as we said before, boys, he's got the foundations of a good team here. I think the squad needs a bit of depth, a bit of quality, as we've discussed many a time. But I think you can see the way he spoke about the players after the Canvey game that he likes what he sees in, and he has got some stars there. I just think he needs to add a few more going along the way.
You think what he's inherited, Jake, is something he can really build on?
Yes, in a way. I mean, suddenly, we're only 7 points off the playoffs, so it's assured, isn't it? Right? No, there is something to build on. It's not a great squad. We know where the deficiencies are. I think those are in defence and in the forward areas. And when you think about that, you think, oh god, this whole squad's rubbish. But it's actually not. It's just we're missing the players that have either through injury or confidence up front. Although, as Lee sort of hinted at, one of those may be returning to form. But we've got a basis there. And it was interesting listening to his post-match after last night's Cheshunt game about talking about how he's been assessing the squad. And actually, these two games were almost ideal to allow him to give everyone an opportunity and start to see what the squad is sort of shaping up as.
Yes, he learned a lot about the squad last night. We'll come on to that in a minute. Well, we've gone to Canvey Island game in a moment, but looking back as a player, he was a goalkeeper way before your time, Jake. Don't worry about that. He played against us for Sutton United, Hendon, Dulwich Hamlet, and Aylesbury United. He played for quite a few other clubs as well, but just brief spells here and there, Chesham being one of them, and I think Hampton as well. In all 13 games he played against us, he was on the winning side 6 times, conceded 24 goals. That's the interesting stat. Only one clean sheet he kept against us. And Steve Clark knocked in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 against the 6 against him there. Just how good was he? I don't know. Simon Martin scored against him. Oh God, hope you're not there Saturday.
Poor Simon.
So we got used to him as a goalkeeper. 13 games as a manager. He managed against us 10 times. 9 of which were with Hampton, say none at all with Hendon. And his record was not that great. 2 wins in those 9 games at Hampton. The last one, I think, was that 6-0 defeat. And 1 game with Billericay, which he did come out on top on. So
what are we making of all this, Dave? You've just absolutely vomited a load of stats at us. How are we supposed to compute all of that?
But paying attention.
Yeah.
Right, anyway, that's the stats background to him anyway, so I thought we'd chuck that in. Right, the first time evidence we got of him as manager of St Albans City, of course, last Saturday down in the Thames Estuary, Canvey Island. Beautiful place, any time of the year, of course. It's got the best terrace in the league as you go into the ground. 18 steps, concrete, nice deep steps as well. Really good. Bit of a shame when you're getting crowds of 200 to 300, but there you go. So that was rather nice. The pitch, no, it looked like it the bottom of the Thames and the tide had gone out. But City performance. Your new manager. You're 1-up in 1 minute. What a start! Now I know you two couldn't be there. You had pressing engagements. Um, but I don't know how quickly you heard that we were ahead.
Well, when the goal went in. Yeah, I mean, it's called having a life date, but you know, there we go. Well, I mean, listen, you're talking about Jake. We spoke before about the new manager bounce, and I think we've got it. Dave is obviously very impressed with the structure of Canvey Island, not necessarily their back line. So the fact that Alex Wall, God bless him, has come into some sort of form now, albeit after one game. But I think if I can touch on Alex Wall briefly, he showed signs of something when he come on against Burton. He's shown signs of, I think he now understands that he's got to just put himself about a bit. I think his role has developed over the last month or so, and he's got the fans back on side after what was absolutely some quite vocal abuse at the start of the season, especially back end of last year as well. Somehow, just by pure blood and guts, a bit of thunder, you know, he's putting himself about a bit, pushing people over, getting stuck in, and all of a sudden the fans absolutely love him, and he's been rewarded for all that hard work with a brace on Saturday. So the way he started that game, looking at the highlights, I mean, fair play to him. You have to sit there and take off your hat and say, you know what, mate, you've earned that right, and you've got the rewards on that day.
Right, getting back to Leo Sery, who scored the first goal. It struck every part of his body except his foot before it bounced looped over the keeper and into the net. The ideal start, a goal up in the first minute for Gary, gave us a confidence. You talk about a new manager bounce. You hope we haven't got that, because that is just players lifting themselves and it all goes flat again. I hope it is him instilling his way on the team. You could see on Saturday we were far more organised. We've been in with 2 shambolic games before that, and that is a very positive sign. Just the whole structure of the side was good. But the new manager bounce, I think it probably applies to Canvey Island. They went into it 5 games unbeaten under new manager Gary Kimball, former Saint, and they looked absolutely awful. They looked the worst side they've played this season. You can only beat what was put in front of you, no doubt about that, and we did it comfortably. We dominated throughout, and it was a surprise when they got a goal back. So you have to factor that into it as well, how poor they were. But even so, we were so confident on the ball. I liked our structure. We used the wings well. Delivery was so-so. We looked strong through the middle. Alex Ball, he's always bashed people around. That's what he does. I'm sure when he gets up in the morning, he just walks into a door for the hell of it. And it's good, though, to see him looking so confident now, getting a couple of goals. That won't do him any harm at all.
No, it won't. And the key, I think you just hinted at there, Dave, is that strong through the middle on Saturday. I think you couldn't describe that at all at Dulwich. I think we looked like a wet piece of paper through the middle at Dulwich. And Brentwood at times, it was very similar, wasn't it? So to suddenly get that strength through the core of the team and look like a team that's confident and actually structured and organised after those 2 displays away, it can be, I say, not the greatest opponent, but I think that's the key. And it just demonstrates, doesn't it, the impact of having a manager, an experienced manager, can have on this team. Might not be spectacular, but it does the job. And I say, Alex Wall, all is forgiven. Not that you really need to be forgiven for anything. Your performances lately have improved significantly. And those 2 goals, I think, much deserved, really. And you saw with his celebration for the first, brilliant. I think Saints fans loved that. And hopefully he can carry this on, because we are in desperate need of a striker that can score goals consistently.
It's funny, as much as we dominated, we also got the breaks. That first goal, as I say, bounced off Leo Sery. He knew little about it, and it looped in. The second goal, keeper dived low to push away Sam Smart's cross, and he pushed it straight to Alex Wall, unmarked, and the guy was a couple of yards off him, so he just stroked it in. And then the third one, totally scuffed it, kicked it into the ground, and it balloons inside the far post. So things went our way as well. It was just one of those days. Gary McCann, he's got the Midas touch.
After one game, brilliant. Yeah, absolutely.
One game.
We'll take it. We'll take it.
Did you follow the game at all, Jake? I know you're very busy where you were.
Yes, did. And when I saw the goal go in at 3:04 p.m. and it said first minute, I was a bit confused there and I forgot that the game kicked off at 3:03, didn't it? But yeah, I followed it from afar, and it sounded like it was a confident display, and it was almost a perfect start to a new manager sort of spell. And even that goal that we conceded, it was nice to see us not roll over or panic stations or concern ourselves. We just kept playing our game, and it seemed to work really well. And again, it's just nice to see that celebrations at the end. I know not a lot of Saints fans travelled, but still a decent amount. And that's just what you need. And it's that positivity and that fresh air that's around the playing squad that suddenly appeared in sort of the last 6-7 days since the appointment.
Surprised to see Michael Bostwick come back in, Lee, and also Haziz Coney come in and did a pretty decent job in midfield. He did.
Yeah, I think there's one thing that you can probably point towards. It's definitely tenacious, isn't he? And he's got a good engine. Reminds me of quite a lot of like a John Pollard or a Solomon Sambu type sort of player. Just effortless. You don't really notice him because he's doing all the hard graft. I like him. Again, whether he gets a run, because he dropped Betchman, which I thought was interesting considering just how good a player he is on the ball. But I'm guessing, to your point, Dave, the pitch we knew probably wasn't going to be the best down in Canvey. So, maybe it wasn't the type of surface for a ball player and a passer. It was a type of surface for, someone who's going to get stuck in and just do the simple things, but do them really, really, really well. Speaking to someone last night who's behind the scenes at the club, he reckons Saturday's performance was excellent. We were excellent. We were really good. We were absolutely positive throughout the game. And yes, okay, fortuitous, certainly. But you know what? We might have had a little bit of that coming our way because we've not really had quite a lot of luck or quite a lot of breaks. So he seemed to think that the players have responded well to Gary McCann, and we could be in for a hell of a ride, boys.
I'll go with we played well rather than we were excellent. We did some very nice moves at time. No two ways about it. Yeah. We were very good at keeping possession and keeping it going forward, which was nice. But I still temper it against the opposition. But there you go. You mentioned Elliot Betchman. He was relegated to the bench. That was the last game, I believe, of his loan spell. Any news on it being extended?
Nope.
Anything on the website, mate?
Does the website know the season started? There was a rumour going around, but it has been extended. He'd like to extend it, I believe. He says after chatting to him. So we shall see on that. We shall see on that one. Right, have we finished with Canvey? The only pitch in Britain below sea level. Are you happy now, Jack? You got your mention.
Oh, God.
Is that it? We finished.
Yeah, I think so.
I think that's a real high point to finish on.
Yeah. Right. So we move on to last night, Tuesday at Clarence Park, the Isthmian League Cup, the Velocity League Cup. Oh my God, we did get out of it with some speed. I've been working on that all night. I stayed up all night for that. The under-23s. We saw them in the two county cup ties last season. There's no two ways about it. They were out of their depth. We saw them at Berkhamsted early this season. They were out of their depth. And then against AFC Welling the other week, with a couple of first teams, they put in a really good performance to beat AFC Welling at Hemel. Then we find out a few hours later, all the Welling team are quitting and going. And whether that had anything to do with it or not, I don't know. But last night, it just wasn't there. The energy wasn't there in that first half, was it? And the crowd wasn't there either, 304. And once we went a goal down, well, we could have had an early goal. Was it George Sippets had a good chance? But we were second best, weren't we, all that first half?
Yeah, we had a couple of glimpses, didn't we? The equaliser was nice to see. But aside from that, yeah, it was very much. Although, having said that, Lee, we were stood by the side of the pitch, weren't we, for the last 10
Don't bring
minutes?
me into this, mate. You're
No,
going.
well,
Go on.
this is your fault. No, this is the last 10 minutes first half. We seemed to keep getting in on the left, didn't we? And then almost we kept shooting from quite wild angles, and every single one seemed to either sail over the bar or hit the roof of the net. So we got into decent positions on the left hand side, particularly. But apart from that, I don't know. I mean, Jasper missed one in the first minute, Dave, didn't he? That he probably should have scored. And then George Tippett, I think, had another one in the first half. But yeah, Cheshunt, they were clinical. I think you could say that.
I think about both sides. They went into that game with just two players who started when we met in the league back in August. So we both put under 23 sides out, or as our club calls it, a weekend 11. And managers both had a chance to look at their, as you mentioned earlier, their squad players. And I think Mel Gwinnett's probably the happier of the two out of that lot. No one, I don't think, really pushed their case for a first team call up. Did you spot anybody, Lee?
I didn't learn anything. But the one thing I would say about the game last night, Dave, is that I imagine that Gary McCann got just as much information about his squad from last night's game as he did against the game against Canvey. I think it's something that we already knew, in so much that the fringe players need minutes to get them up to speed. I thought Sippett's lively in and around the ball second half. Second half was when it was all was. I mean, Jake said, yeah, the latter end of the first half, George Sippett's looked lively on the left-hand side. Troy did a bit again, but very wasteful. You know, you should be shooting across the keeper, making him save, but it's just going over the bar, and it's just looked a little bit disjointed, the whole setup in the first half. Second half, a little bit better, but again, we're getting into good areas just outside the area, and we're just sort of trying to cross the ball, but there's no one there. Players going for glory, but I guess you're not going to sort of be begrudge them that. I just think that Cheshunt were dogged, they were determined, and we were always playing catch up. Again, we always seem to find ourselves in this situation. We're always playing catch up. So I think questions for Gary McCann, certainly. Would I say anyone put their name forward for a starting place on Saturday? I don't think so, mate, no.
One player I was hoping would show up well, be Daniel Ayatunde, the young Arsenal striker. But he had a habit of running into blind alleyways, just running into defenders. He's one of the players you mentioned. His cross shots went over the top a lot. He did go close, but from him, from his background, you expected more. I think this was a chance for him to shine. Look, I'm better than these players. I'm more experienced. I'm professional, and it didn't happen for him. One thing also about Henry Blackledge, the Cheshunt goalkeeper, he did make some good saves, and that one when Jasper May looked to have got it over him and beautifully curled from an angle. How he saved that and clawed it away, I don't know. It's magnificent. It should have been a goal. Jake Boxer made 1-2 good saves as well. Questionable some of the other goals, because just in that first half, we did look likely to keep on conceding the way it was going. But that's what that game was there for, really. A glorified friendly in many ways, but as you two have mentioned, good for Gary McCann to see what is outside that first team squad.
Yeah, it is. I think, as you mentioned, Jasper had that nice shot. I think Jasper might be the most disappointed out of last night, potentially, just because, he's probably the one that's most likely to knock on the door of the first team starting place and didn't quite get there, apart from that great shot and brilliant save. And yeah, the lad from Arsenal, I don't know, does it feel like he's still being played out of position a little bit in the wide areas? I'm not sure. He got down into some good areas, but then the final ball wasn't there. But like you say, I think Gary McCann's learned a lot. Interestingly, post-match, he talked about that sort of depth in the defensive areas and Kieran Gauthier being the most experienced available to lead that defensive back line, and everyone around him being from the academy. So
that worked last night, do you reckon, Jake?
Not really for me, Lee. But I think Gary can also, now he's got evidence, hasn't he, of the lack of depth in the squad in areas, and he can go to the ownership and say, right, you brought me in, we've seen the situation, this is what I need to either strengthen this team, make some changes, etc. So, but also got two interesting games coming up that are winnable on paper, but again, it's a bit of a balance. So, but I think he'll have gained a lot, and he talked about that in his post match, and I think it's just great that he's had that opportunity. To be honest,
Of course, he won't know his full squad yet because he hasn't seen Adrian Mariappa play for us yet. Not many people have. Any news on what's happening to him? Riley Scott, I believe, played for the under-23s a week before last. They haven't posted, well, we haven't posted the lineup from their most recent game online yet, so I don't know if he played in that one as well. And we've got James Sweet. Have we got any news on him?
no, no, it's all very quiet around all three, isn't it? At the minute, Riley Scott,
Yes!
dearie me, Riley Scott, I think would be a very welcome addition and return for that midfield area personally. But aside from him, the others, it's all very quiet. I think Magnus Norman might be back for Saturday, but we'll see.
That keeper who's replaced him, Mackenzie Chapman, he does live up in the northern wastelands, somewhere up there. He's with Salford City, isn't he? And it's incredible he's travelling down here for that. Poor lad.
Northern wastelands. It's not the Hunger Games, mate. It's you know.
You would have thought we'd get somebody a bit more local, but anyway, it's good experience for him. Yes, it'd be nice to have Magnus back. Been in a bit of form lately. He's struggled a bit at Burton, we felt, but we found out why, of course, because wasn't in peak condition. Any other changes for Saturday?
Oh, I mean, hopefully Bostwick will be fit to start. I think that's the main one for me at the back, and then sort of up front. I mean, Alex Wall is, you can't drop him now. So you got Wally up front, and then it's sort of
Unplayable.
Do we again mention the Harrison Smith debate situation? What's going on there? Because at the minute he's probably not in the starting 11, is he?
When he came on Saturday, unfortunately, again, Harrison didn't make an impact. We all want him to succeed. St Albans lad, but at the moment, it's difficult to justify a place in the squad for him, let alone the side. Something needs to change with him. Maybe a new manager, a new coaching team, a new style of play, maybe even for the team, might just help him and get him back on track because he's off it at the moment, sadly. We shall see. Right. We're talking of coaching staff. We didn't mention them. Gary's brought in Danny Green. He's neither of the two Danny Greens who previously played for us. And also Fabio Valenti. He is for Fabio Valenti with an I, who's ever doing the Twitter feed, not an E on the end. He's for Fabio Valenti, who played one game for us and 6 for our reserves 20 odd years ago. It seems like he's got a solid team. Is there possibly one more to come as well?
He was hinting at that, wasn't he? So, I mean, I can't believe we've got a hat-trick of Danny Greens associated with the club now. I think we deserve something for that, like a blue plaque. But yeah, he's brought them in quickly, hasn't he? And he's still a couple of remaining from the Culverhouse and Bazza that are still around. So, but again, looks okay. I mean, it's hard to judge the coaching and management team, isn't it, right now? Because we don't know them. We haven't really seen them in action apart from the brief glimpses we've had so far.
Yeah, that's true. We don't know a lot about them, but it sounds like a solid group there, Lee, doesn't it?
Well, yeah. I mean, to be fair, I think the one thing that you must have, because I think Gary McCann knows he's not going to come in and he's going to have the ability to make wholesale changes to the squad. So what he can do is bring in coaches that he trusts to get the best out of a certain situation. I think what he's got here, despite your reservations, Dave, I think he's got some good players to work with. But that said, I do believe the club needs to back him. It does need investment. You can't just go along again with this age-old thing where it's similar to what Culverhouse had. He inherited all the squad from Nobby, and then it took so much time for Culverhouse to put his stamp on in terms of personnel. I think if we want to do anything this season and stop it sort of going into a damp squib, it'd be really nice to get some players in over the course of the next month or so, heading into what is going to be an unbearably busy campaign. So I think to have some fresh legs to go alongside the good players that he's already got at his disposal, it's got to be a benefit, surely, boys. Come on.
The busy spell is practically coming to an end because we've done a sensible thing, get out of all the cups as quickly as we can, apart from the FA Cup. We've only got the Hearts Senior to go now. The go past New Year, and there's very few midweek games at all. It's mostly Saturdays, so injuries there shouldn't be a problem. You would hope in the latter half of the season. That could work very much in our favour. You were going to
Yeah.
say something there, Jake? Yeah.
I was going to say, just on that sort of topic of the squad, I mean, if you were Gary McCann, what would be top of your shopping list, would you say? Or
Striker.
Striker and then a defender? I mean, do we
Okay,
think
well, is it though? Because the thing is, you've got Mariappa, Dyer, Fifield, even when he comes back, Boswick as well. Don't forget, it was less than a month ago that we were praising the back line and how staunch they were. And okay, yes, fortuitous in some games, certainly. But as a collective, they were the ones that were sort of keeping us in games.
Yeah.
So I think it would be very harsh to start chopping and changing to that detriment right now. I know what you're saying, but if Boswick comes back fit,
yeah,
Turf Gautier out because he's had a bit of a torrid time the last sort of few weeks. Dye slips back in. You've got Page there. You've got Sweet if he comes back fit. Jack James, good players there. That is a real core of quality. I think the one thing again last night it proves anything else, boys. We've got to start scoring some goals. Yes, Alex Wall got a brace. Leo Sery is playing himself into a really, really strong position in terms of becoming the number one focus at this point. But strikers all around, people score goals because yes, Alex Wall got 2 on Saturday, but I doubt he's going to get 2 every single time he plays. So who knows?
We've got Mariappa. 1 game out of 24 this season. We've got Mariappa. Okay. We'll see if he plays again. The other area that does need looking at, and he will look at it, is the midfield. In too many games recently, we've been overrunning there. Brentwood, Dulwich, they all overrun our midfield with ease. So he will be looking closely at that area. As you say, Riley Scott may come back. James Sweet could help in a way there. I don't know. Is there something? Sorry, Jake. Yeah.
No, I'd say the midfield's an interesting area because it feels like the balance has been off, hasn't it, in there up until that Canvey game. Feels like we almost went too attacking with playing Betjeman and Banton in front of Dyer. And then maybe that is why Betjeman did come out on Saturday to try and balance that midfield up a little bit. Troy Perez-Drew is an interesting one. He was sort of almost first name on the team sheet, wasn't he, up until the last few weeks, once Carverhouse left and they sort of dropped out a little bit. And also, is there, like you're sort of saying, Dave, is there just that hint of, are we just waiting for Riley Scott to come back and be fit? So it's an interesting area. I think we'll go with a similar midfield to what we saw on Saturday. So Betjeman, if he loan has been extended, I wouldn't be surprised if he's on the bench on Saturday.
Coney seemed to be a bit deeper on Saturday at Canvey, which allowed Alex Dyer to be a little bit further forward. We know he's not got the greatest speed in the world. So ball playing is going to be his strength. Sometimes it's suspect, but other times he hits wonderful passes. So maybe that helped tighten us up a bit against Canvey and nullified what effect they had. We shall see what he goes for on Saturday. Carshorn Athletic, we don't know an awful lot about them. We haven't played them since, when was it? 2006, I think. Well, when we were 3-0 down at half-time at Dulwich the other week, Colin Tom shouted out, "Remember Carshalton?" You know why, Lee, don't you?
Indeed. 3-0 down at half-time, 1-5-3. Could have been 6, but beautiful times.
There's a lot worse things Collins could have shouted at half-time, probably has shouted at half-time, so that's actually quite impressed with that one.
Yeah. 3-0 down at half-time, wasn't it a 5-minute Jimmy Bolton hat-trick? Clarkey hit back with a couple of goals, and it was a day when the Grand National didn't get run because it got abandoned the only time in its history and whatnot. Oh, it was a historic day all round. But which has got nothing to do with Saturday's trip by Carshalton to Clarence Park. They come here, I think it's 5 games unbeaten, 4 of them draws. This game and the Burgess Hill Town game, to me, they're 2 ideal ones for Gary. He really has got a chance to build on the Canvey result now. 2 teams, mid-table. Don't like to say they're going nowhere, but they're going nowhere. He really has got a chance. He really has got a chance to get everybody right behind him fully and show, look, we're moving forward now.
If they're mid-table, what are we?
We're catching up.
That's very generous. Yeah, it is. 2 what on paper look like kind games, but it's going to be tricky. And while Gary, I think, is still trying to find his feet with this team and trying to find a balance, I don't think it's going to necessarily be the easiest game on Saturday. There's going to be a lot of work to do. Again, this week, training sessions have been a bit disrupted by the cup game, so the positives and the negatives of that. And there's going to be that sort of working out exactly how to make this team tick. Will he maybe have a new face or two before Saturday? I think he'd probably like to, but it feels unlikely, potentially with timings. So there's a lot of things to work out, and those players that come back. Say if Riley Scott is fit, do you chuck him in? Surely not. But then do you bring it back Harry Betjeman and sort of change that midfield balance? So I don't think it will be the easiest game, actually, and I'm expecting a low-scoring game, maybe a sort of a 1-0, but we'll see.
If Riley Scott were fit, he would have got a bit of a game last night. You can't help thinking.
It's a good point, yeah.
These two games, Lee, are you confident? Yeah, these are just what we want to push on.
Not as confident as you are, Tabs, I've got to say. I'm always a bit wary even about sort of trying to progress on the sort of go, if you like. And I think last night was perfect because there's not a lot at stake with the greatest respect to the Eastern League Cup. I think that it's interesting to talk about the balance there, because I don't think the midfield is an area which needs particularly a lot of strength. I mean, it might need a bit of structure to it in terms of the formation, but the players are there. Surely when you reel them off, as Jake has done, you're not looking at there's any particularly. I mean, Kone comes in and he's done a really good shift for the last sort of our two games. Betjeman and Bannon are your playmakers. Dyer is there to break it up and add a little bit of quality in it in the middle of the park. I don't think that is it. I think it's just the shape. Maybe we're too expansive out wide. We're looking to get it out wider with Page and Sweet. You know, it's just really, really interesting to see, isn't it? And I think that Gary McCann has got a bit of a challenge ahead of him. But at home as well, you'd like to think that we have enough to be competitive against anybody. It's just whether we've got enough quality, especially up front in the key areas, to get the game over the line.
This side, Lee, it just ground out results up until last Saturday. There was nothing to excite you, nothing to make you want to go there.
Yep.
I think he does really need to strengthen it quite a bit if he's to make a serious challenge. He will. He's got so many contacts. He will bring players in. His problem is, as you intimated before, with Ian Colehouse clearing out the ones he didn't want from the previous regime, to make space for bringing in. With players on contracts nowadays, it's a lot harder for managers in that respect. It's a lot easier to get players in because you get young loanees from the Football League clubs. They're dying to shift them out and get them some first-team games. I think he has got a bit of work there to do to really push us on. But, there's some there. But generally, maybe they were not able to express themselves in the way they probably could do under previous way we played. I don't know. I'm not putting Ian Colehouse down. No intention of doing that. But it would say us like to see us a bit more expressive.
Yeah, I think you're right. And the one point that we discussed last night with a few of the fans was, how do you address the situation that is Harrison Smith, right? Now, hopefully, the key, the ideal scenario is the fact that you get a new manager come in, maybe he instills a little bit of confidence back into Harrison, and then we go from there. And then you see that sort of relationship developing over the course of time. Or you shift him out on loan somewhere random, close but random. Get his goal scoring touch back again. Let him go and be a big fish in a small pond for a month or maybe even two. Get that touch, get that quality, get that confidence back in him. Then bring him back and see where he is then. Because at the minute, his confidence is rock bottom, absolute rock bottom. You may as well bung him off on loan someone like Benfleet and just literally let him score 10, 15 goals over the next sort of a few months, 3 months. And then in the new year, get him back. His confidence is refreshed. Because at the minute, unless he can hit the ground running with Gary McCann, I can't see the value in having him around that lot. He's got to score goals, right? And he's a confidence player, brilliant player. We're not mucking around here. If we get a fully fit Harrison Smith, full of confidence, is going to be a real asset to us. But at the minute, he's neither of those things. So Gary McCann needs to look at that. You talk about balance of the side, Jake. Yes, Sery's up front. You've got Banton, you've got Wall. Yeah, you've got good players in key areas. But again, it's just what's coming on behind them.
Yeah.
Jake keeps reiterating this point. Sorry, Tav's this point last night. You take out the first, I don't know, 12 names. What's coming after that is the concern. You know, you're trying to bring quality in, and I'm not entirely sure that's currently in that squad. So yeah, Dave, you're absolutely right, mate. But getting players in costs money, and will you have to ship people out in order for them to sort of do that?
I think he probably will have a signing in by the weekend. I'd be very surprised if he didn't. Not that I've heard anything.
You've been coy, David. What have you
No,
heard?
no. I wish I was. I just think he will look to start stamping his presence on that team. Anyway, there we go. Burgess Hill Town next Tuesday, like Carshalton, 23 points. They've got 2 games in hand on Carshalton, and they're just waiting to be turned over by us, of course.
Oh, why do you always say this, Dave? It never goes well. And there is a former one for the Luton Town fans, Glenn Rhea. I don't know how we pronounce it. He's at Burgess Hill. He's been knocking around for a while, so one there. But it's a bit of an unknown again, isn't it, Dave? We've had quite a few of these games coming up lately that we don't know how these teams play. We're not sure what to expect just because we're still so getting used to the Isthmian League.
Welcome to the Isthmian League, boys.
Yeah.
Beautiful stuff.
Well, we have got a contact. I think I mentioned it before. When we were down at Truro at the end of last season, I stood next to a former owner of Burgess Hill Town. There you go. So, hi, Gary, if you're watching.
Dave, you really do get about, don't you?
Yeah, I felt sorry for him, but there you go. Right, that's what I was done. Should we do some predictions for the weekend? Because we did very well last night. I don't think too many of us went for a 5-1 defeat. Well, seeing as I was the only one who predicted a defeat last night, I'll go first on Saturday. Carshalton, they don't like not coming north of the river, will they? That'll do them in. I think we've won. We have won the last 4 games against them. Let's make it a Nat Pound 5, and we go for a 2-1.
Oh, 2-1 Saints.
Oh,
unheard of.
Does that mean St Albans is the Northern Wastelands to Carshalton, but Salford is to you, Dave?
We're just a wasteland, full stop. Carry on.
All right, I'm going to go 1-0 Saints for Saturday.
Go on then, Lee. We're going for a clean sweep.
Absolutely. I'm going to go 3-1. Have some of that.
And what are you going for on Tuesday?
I like 2-1 Tuesday. Oh,
Jake?
Yeah, 2-1 Saints for Tuesday as well for me, actually.
You're going for the same score?
Got to.
This is
podcast friends.
First time we've done that. I'll have to check the rule book later.
Fine.
Fine.
Right, well, it's going to be... he's not going to win his first 3 league games. No, we better rein it in a bit. 1-0.
You're not going to win your first 3 league games. That's it.
No.
I've said it.
No, but it's not allowed.
Is it not allowed? No.
There you go. Actually, last Saturday's win ended a run of 5 successive defeats we've had at Park Lane. I mean, you were there for them, Lee, and they were pretty heavy defeats, most of them. It's 5-1, 6-1, and the goals used to fly and go. Yeah, but that's when Jeff King was down there and he was in charge of them. He owned the whole island practically, didn't he? And also, it's our first away win in the league on a Saturday since February.
No way.
That's a great stat. I tell you what, of all the nonsense you reeled out today, that is a really good stat. Love that.
Since February, Lee, all those Saturdays we've wasted travelling away from home to see us not win.
My Saturdays are never wasted when I'm with you, Jacob.
Oh, that's true. That is actually ridiculous. I don't believe you, Dave. This is the first ever stat I don't believe. This is insane.
Oh, he's questioning you, Dave. What are you telling us about coming every now, mate? Oh.
Well, you weren't wasting last Saturday in Essex, were you?
Well, exactly.
But
so
we wasted enough Saturdays in Essex, mate. Don't worry about that.
Maybe me and Lee are the problem.
Hey, last night,
last
night wasn't it a thank you for the club? Admission to £5, £3 for old gits. But it would have been nice if they said, "Well, we're not actually going to stick the first team out there. All you're getting for your £5 is this under-23 team.
And I bet you still tried to get him for free, didn't you?
Of course. Still climb over that fence. That step ladder still works.
Tight old swine.
There's a few first teamers out there, Dave. Come on.
Would you pay a fiver to watch them? Right. Lee, you've got a family issue to end with.
Yeah, I have. Some sad news, really. So, my great uncle Ron, who was a player at the club back in the 60s, 70s, introduced me to the club along with my dad. So, unfortunately, he passed away last week. He had been ill for quite some time. I know, Dave, when we did the Heritage Weekend up in the City Library, you kindly showed me some absolutely amazing photos of him playing for the Saints. I don't know his record, and I'm sure that will sort of come with time. But the memories of my uncle Ron, everyone. We went away to, I think, Spain as a big family one time, and I befriended some kids, and I was only probably about 10, 11, and we were playing football in the complex. And my uncle Ron came over and goes, "Oh, can I play as well?" I said, "Uncle Ron, you're like 105. No, of course you can't." I'll tell you what, me and your dad against you four kids. I'm like, come on, be serious. I'm one of the best midfielders in Aboyne Lodge. We could have absolutely mullied. Anyway, needless to say, talk about pissing on my chips, right? Between them, he was he tore us apart, Dave. Seriously, mate. And it wasn't until afterwards my dad said, "You realise he played for St Albans City, right?" I'm like, "Really?" And to be fair, as I say, he has been unwell for quite a while, but that smile, he had that sort of like 1950s Hollywood sort of like leading man sort of vibe to him. Really, really suave. Lovely fella. Spoke very highly of the club. Loved his time at City. As I say, his enthusiasm, just listening to his stories. And this was at the time, Dave, when you'd have, a cigarette at half time, maybe a glass of wine, cigarette after the game. It was all that sort of environment going on. But yeah, big miss for the family. He was the heartbeat. All the stories, wonderful times. And just sad he's gone now, but he's at peace. So God bless Uncle Ron.
At Boyne Lodge, we didn't have a midfield when I was there, Lee. I've always struggled there.
Back in the 1920s, man, I'm surprised you had like a football team, but yeah. Go on.
And it's interesting what you say about how good he was, because when I used to play five-a-side football, occasionally we'd come up against former Saints. Tony Gautier, brother Matt Gautier, he was one. Although they're only St Albans City reserve, they're a class above what you're used to. They hit the ball so much cleaner than we're used to. Played against several others, and you think, crikey, you're in the Sunday League for a reason, and they're up there for a reason. Anyway, your Uncle Ron, he made his debut for us on the 3rd of May, 1958, a 6-3 win over Woking. And if I remember rightly,
here we go.
Woking came to Clarence Park with the Amateur Cup that night because they had won it the previous weekend. And Ron actually scored in that game, Lee. And Jimmy Norris, Ginger Norris, he scored 4, and the other one was Barry Darville, and their 6-3 win. He went on to make 66 appearances for the club, 36 goals. What we would pay for somebody like that now. Fantastic. Did he win anything? Did he get in the cup final? Yes, he played his second game. It was the Hart Cherry Cup final. He scored in a 2-1 win against Hitchin Town. So he did get a medal in time bus. And he also played half a dozen games, I can see there, for the reserves, and 2 more goals. So someone to be proud of in your family, Lee. Great news.
Absolutely.
Right.
Good.
Brilliant.
I think we're done.
We are indeed. Podful of Saints on Twitter. Email description below. Anything else, guys, before we go? Perfect. All right, we'll speak to you all again next week after the Saints pick up another 2 wins, even though Dave says we can't. And come on, you Saints. Bye-bye.